Okay. Any tips, Jada, as far as, passing your license, passing your exam, anything that you think could be valuable for everyone in here?
Um, Personally, what I did a lot, what helped me a lot was going on YouTube and really, instead of just trying to like memorize what's what, I went on YouTube to try to fully understand the actual concepts and the principles of it all. Because when I first started doing the course, the class course, it was just this is this and this is this and this is this, and I didn't really know how each one kind of connected towards each other. So what I did was I went on to YouTube. I watched a lot of Prep Agent, very helpful, and really just watching a lot of videos because I'm a visual learner. So I did that, and I pretty much just watched it until I fully understood the whole concept of everything and how everything relates back to each other. So yeah.
Yeah, you said that perfectly. Because I remember like you kind of read it and you're like, I don't even know what this means. It's just like you like remember it or memorize it. But like if you actually understand like what they're talking about, and for me, I'm a visual learner as well, and I literally use Prep Agent the entire time to where like you just keep watching the videos and they show pictures and you're like, oh, like that makes sense. Like on paper, like it just didn't make sense, but now I'm seeing like they describe
Right.
it into like stories or like how you can apply it to like actual like real life and like, oh, this all makes sense. So I
Exactly.
I think that's a really good point you made to where like if any of y'all are confused about like a topic, like don't just memorize like the term, like understand it, because when you understand it, it actually like makes sense, and then like it helps you memorize it because like you understand it. So
Right.
that's a really good
So
point.
like some of the questions on my test, I may not have understood exactly what the question was asking, but I could pick out keywords in the question and I'd be like, okay, I know what this keyword is pertaining to, and I know the concept of what it's talking about. So I could use that information and do like a best guess on the answers.
Yeah. No, you're spot on there. So was it as hard as you thought it was going to be, or was it like, oh, like this makes sense?
It actually was not hard to me that much. I think I took an in-person class, and honestly, the class was harder for me. Like I was sitting there like, oh my God, I'm not
Yeah,
going
the
to make
headphones
it.
on. It's so quiet in there. I
Yeah.
remember I had the headphones on. It was so quiet. You could like literally hear your own heartbeat. Like that's how quiet it is in there.
Yeah. But when I went to go take the actual test, I was like, oh, I know this. And
Yeah.
then what I did was I bookmarked all the questions that were a little bit harder for me. And I went back and I added up how many questions I had bookmarked. And it was only about like 30 questions out of the 157. And I was like, oh, this isn't bad. And I went back, and then after I reread the questions again, I was like, oh, I get it. Because what I did was some questions later on helped me to go back and
Yeah.
understand earlier questions.
Yeah.
So in the end, when I walked out and she handed me my paper, she was like, "Here you go." She handed it to me folded, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I failed," and it said pass. And I was like, "Nice."
Yeah. Yeah. No, a lot of the questions are so because they can only ask so many of the same questions to where a lot of the questions are like rephrased, or like some of the questions later in the test answer the question that you didn't know in a different way. And so like I think like if y'all are taking the test, just bookmark it. Don't just like guess, just bookmark it and come back to it. Because there's a good chance it was answered in one of the other questions, or it's just the more you like when you first start, you're going to be nervous. And then it's just like anything. Once you start taking the exam and time goes by, like you start to calm down and you're like, okay, like let me actually know it. And then you go back to it and you're like, oh, I was overthinking everything. This is an easy question. And so, yeah, awesome. Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I'm sure Jada did, you studied, right?
Yeah.
Did you study a lot, or did you just study for like a day, or, right
Oh
before the
no,
exam?
I I waited like 3 weeks after my class had ended. I had to wait about 3 weeks from when my class ended to the next available appointment for the exam. So I used those 3 weeks of nothing but studying. And what happened for me was I had to travel a lot. So during that time, I usually had like a 5, 6 hour drive. I would literally just listen to webinars and seminars about studying and all that stuff while
Mhm.
I was driving. So it could, instead of just listening to music and wasting my time, I sat there for 6 hours on a straight drive, um, listening to those webinars. So I definitely studied a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember because I got my license while I was in the military, and I remember when I would get off work. So I worked nights, and we worked like what, 14, 16 hour shifts, depending on the day. And I remember like when I would wake up that morning, for me, it was morning. I would wake up at like noon, probably didn't get a lot of sleep. But I would go to a coffee shop right down the road, and I would stay there. This was every day I was off. I would stay there until I get there like around 1, and I would stay there till like 6 or 7, and just sat there and would just put music in and study. For me, I just liked being in that environment. I couldn't study well at home because I would get
Mm.
distracted. So I mean, I did that for about a month. And then I took the exams, and I passed the first time. And I think the biggest thing is like, someone asked me this last week. They passed, well, they did everything as far as like your pre-license course, everything like that. And they're like, well, when do I actually book the exam? Just literally book a date and then just put yourself on that. Okay, like I'm booked, like this is the time, versus it's like, I want to study for 2 months. And then when I feel comfortable, I'm gonna then I'm gonna set the date. Like, no, just put it like a month is plenty of time. Just book it a month if it's available. I know some people have troubles just trying to get a date, but just book it like a month in advance or whatever you feel comfortable with. If you feel comfortable in a month and a half, awesome. 2 months, awesome. A week, awesome. Just book it, and then so you kind of have that, like, your ass is on the line essentially, and you're just like, okay, like I got this date coming up, this test coming up, just like when all y'all tested for, staff or wherever, you knew like that was the date. And so you had to study. So awesome. Awesome. Well, again, Jada, congrats. And then again, I know a
Thank you.
lot of y'all are starting to get ready to do that same thing. So it's not as hard as it seems. So, again, we're always here to help each other out if we have any questions. So, um, today's topic, I run out of topics a lot because there's only so much I can talk about. And this one I have done before, but I don't know if there is new people in here. There's new people every single week who are joining the program. So this one we've already done. But for my new people, it is good to know. And then for my people who've already seen it before, it's kind of changed a little bit since the last time I did it. So I think it's always a good refresher. And so, yeah. So we're going to talk about calendar. I'm going to show you guys my calendar again and how I set up my days for success. Hopefully when I share my screen, it doesn't get all glitchy, because it probably will, but we will see. So again, a lot of people ask all the time, like, what do I do on a day-to-day, as a realtor? And, selling Sunset, you're out there showing homes and they're all beautiful, and then you get a commission check and they walk around with their Louis Vuitton and their nice little cars. But like, that is the complete opposites, what it actually is. And I'm sure, like, the question I get asked all the time, like from family or friends, they're like, oh, how was work? Like, did you show any homes today? And I'm like, no, like, that's not all I do. Like, that's like the very like small percentage of what I do. And to be quite honest with you guys, real estate is literally just sales. And so you're just doing a lot of sales stuff, which sales is then prospecting. So you should be doing a lot of prospecting. You should be prospecting every single day. So it's a lot of boring stuff. The fun stuff, of course, is putting in offers in on homes, or getting a listing agreement and selling homes. And then the even better part is actually getting to the closing table and closing and getting your commission check. But that is the byproduct of what you're actually doing behind the scenes. And the behind the scenes is the most important part. And so you want to figure out, okay, well, I want to get to the closing table. I want to get the commission checks. I want to make all this money, or however much money you desire, but how am I actually going to do that? And so there's several ways of prospecting. I say it all the time, but then you got to figure out, well, no one's telling me what to do every single day. I create my own schedule, but I don't know what to do. And how do I create my own schedule? How do I set up my day for success? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about, is how to set up your day for success every single day, to where even if you don't have something in your pipeline, you know you're doing everything you need to be doing on a daily basis in order to get that byproduct, and you're having closings, having clients, doing the showings, and y'all come to realize that showings are not fun. They're a waste of time because they are not money producing activities. And so, and buyers just like to take you all around Kingdom Come and just want to see all these homes. So I'm going to share my screen and let me know if you guys can see it. Again, guys, I apologize if I lose connection. Okay. Give me 1 second. What? Okay. 1 second. Okay. Can y'all see my screen? Yes? Okay. I see thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. So for my people who haven't seen my calendar before, this looks very overwhelming. This is next week, so I don't have anything booked as far as appointments quite yet, but I know they will fill up. And so let me go ahead and press yes to this. And so I know they will fill up. So which is this part where I'm scrolling my cursor over. This is my time for appointments. And yeah, so again, each day is typically different, but for the most part, it's the same. Mondays are my craziest days, I guess. And so, yeah, so this what works for me. This is what I think could work for everybody. Again, I know everybody's situation is different. Some people have families, some people don't have families, and it's just, every person's different. So I always tell everyone your morning time from 8 to 11. For me, it's more like 8 to 11:30 should be your time to prospect and to make your outbound phone calls, and whatever that prospecting may be. But I personally believe you should be on the phones, finding business, and finding your potential clients, and then also doing your follow-ups. And then your afternoon should be for your appointments. And again, you're going to have people trying to get you to move your appointment or try to schedule an appointment during your prospecting time. And what you have to tell them is, hey, I already have an appointment. I'm already committed to another appointment. And although it's not an appointment where you're meeting with the buyer or seller, but it's an appointment with yourself, and it's an appointment to constantly prospect. Because again, you have 3 jobs when it comes to real estate. It's prospecting, setting appointments, and then going on those appointments. Prospecting and setting appointments is in the morning, and going on those appointments in the afternoons. So Monday is typically a little bit different for me, but I make sure that I'm still making some calls in the morning, but I do have meetings I have to be to that morning. So, and that's my team meeting. So it's just a little bit different from the rest of the days. But I still have my time for appointments in the afternoon. And so, did I freeze right there? We're good? Okay. Yeah, so afternoons, I still have my time for appointments. I don't have as much time as I usually do, but I still have my time set aside because I need to make sure I'm doing my follow-up, and I need to make sure that I am doing my prospecting. And the thing is, guys, is if you don't have appointments at all during that day, which you're not going to have appointments every day, now you have some more time to prospect. If I don't have appointments in the afternoon, which I don't have any, well, I have a Zoom call today at 3. Yeah, I have a Zoom call today at 3 with Jada. And then after that, when we're done, I don't have any appointments later this afternoon. I'm hitting the phones and I'm calling, I'm doing some more prospecting. And so just because I don't have an excuse not to. And so, I mean, there's really no excuse on why you can't get to prospecting. Monday, if I don't have any appointments after all of my meetings, I'm hitting the phones and doing some prospecting. I like to do afternoon prospecting actually from about 4 to 6. I think that's a good sweet spot because sometimes in the mornings people are either at work. More than not, people work from home now, so it's a little bit easier in the mornings now to get people on the phone. But some people work traditional office jobs and they can't talk in the morning, and so a lot of times they say, "Hey, give me a call later in the afternoon." And guess what? I even have it in my calendar. Call the evening numbers, and I also have a sales tracker because I track all my numbers. And so, yeah, that's kind of what my Mondays look like. And then again, then Tuesday is basically the same as the rest of the days, except I work in this call that we're on right now. And so now it's like, okay, well, where do you start your day? So yes, I tell myself when I go to sleep. Now, am I like in my bed, like at 10 p.m. I shut, closed, I'm asleep? Like no, like no, I'm not like a robot, but it's just a reminder on my phone to where if I'm in my living room, I'm on my couch and I get the Google calendar notification. I have it 10 minutes prior. It says sleep. I know, okay, it's time to wrap up the night. But again, sometimes I like to live a little dangerous and maybe go to sleep a little bit later. But I'm not a robot, guys. But that's when I try to be in bed by. But every morning I wake up at 5:15. I'm getting ready and I'm driving to the gym. Typically, I'm at the gym from 5:45 to 7. Sometimes I get there at 5:50. Sometimes I get there at 5:40. It just depends. And then I sometimes out of the earlier at the gym earlier than 7. But sometimes I'm out there, at 7. It just depends. And then I give myself an hour to eat breakfast, get ready. I need to be better about journaling, and I just don't. My time of like meditation is the gym. It's just like I know no one's gonna call me, although people have before, but I know nobody's gonna call me. I can just put my headphones in. I need to be better about networking at the gym, but I just don't want to talk to anyone because it's my time to hit the gym, and like I love it. I love hitting the gym. I look forward to every single day, and it's my meditation. And but after the gym, that hour of breakfast, and I'm getting ready, I actually either put on a podcast or I put on an audio book or I listen to like a YouTube, like motivational. I have like some guys I like to listen to, whether it's real estate. Sometimes I'll put on like a real estate podcast where it's like, or a real estate video where it's like, hey, this is what's going on in the market. And I've learned a lot of stuff that way because now I can, provide that to my consumers. So am I frozen? Am I good? Okay. And so sorry, I saw myself glitching in the corner. Yeah, but like I work in an educational aspect on my time of getting ready for work and everything like that. And so on the phones, hitting the phones right at 8 a.m. because I call expireds, terminated for sell by owners. And it is so important to be first to the phone. So that 8 a.m. phone start is very, very important for me because literally a minute can make a difference. And so I really make sure I'm at my desk pressing call at 8 a.m. And so, yeah. And then this about at the end of 8 a.m., then I go into my follow-up. And so I know I'm a little crazy. I have a different way of following up than most people do. And I have this bin here, let me pull it up. And this is my physical CRM. I have folders to where it's like, hey, this is when I need to follow up because y'all will realize the money's in the follow-up when it comes to real estates. And I have let so many leads fall through the cracks because I forget to follow up with them. So where now, okay, it's 10:30 a.m. and I got to call my hot lead folder. Here, let me open this up. And so my hot leads are typically people who I need to set appointments with, or they're pretty hot. They're a vial lead that I can set appointment with in a handful of days. Open up my folder, and I literally will pull it out, and I have all these papers that I need to call with all these leads. And so again, it works in my head, and I know I don't ever miss anybody. And so that is every single day. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. once a week, I call my warm lead folders. Those are people who need to transact within 90 days. And then every Tuesday of every month, I call my seller nurturers. Again, I know it sounds a little crazy. Everyone's in folders with paper, but there's so much money inside this little bin right here. It's not even funny. But again, that just works in my head. But everyone has their way of following up or the way they do things. I'm a very visual person. If I look at this, it just makes sense to me how just to live on a day to day. And so this hour, oh, Tasha's here. This hour is lunch, client work, returning calls. It's just my time to where, I'm just eating lunch. I can kind of take a break from this morning and just kind of chillax and just chill. Now, is it always an hour? No. If it's not an hour, I'll just catch up on whatever I need to do. If someone called me while I was making my prospecting time, because during my prospecting, I'm very, very strict. I don't answer any calls. I don't let anyone interrupt my prospecting because, again, prospecting is your queen bee in your business, and you shouldn't let anyone interrupt that. And so I don't care who it is. They're not interrupting my time. I even put my phone on do not disturb from 8 to 11. And so at 11:30 is lead cleanup. All the leads that I've accumulated over this 3 hours, I clean them up, put them in my folders, everything like that. And then a kit right here, we're on our weekly call. This is just more of just my busy work that you need to do. And I always put some time in here for busy work. So again, I told you guys, I don't take a whole hour of lunch. I meal prep. So I don't need a whole hour. I just put my stuff in the microwave and I eat it. I eat really fast too. So it's just like, boom, ready. I'm done eating in like 10 minutes. And so after that, it's just your typical realtor. 1 second. Let me mute. Okay. And so you're busy work and, they're like, hey, how do I prospect every day and do my busy work as a realtor? Like, put it in your calendar. Guys, if you live off your calendar, you literally have no excuse on not being productive and not being able to do your stuff that you need to do every single day. And so an hour is plenty of time to do all your busy work. Again, I know that real estate, in which y'all will learn that there's some things that just need dire attention. If it's something like a deal is about to fall through and you're like on a time crunch, I get it. But for the most part, during your prospecting time, if something happens, it's one of your clients, one of your sellers, one of your buyers giving you a call, it more than likely can be handled in the afternoon. It can't, 99% chance it can be handled in the afternoon. I'm just so strict on this time because it's so important. And then again, afternoons, this is probably a better example on Wednesday through Friday, is all for my appointments. My showings, my listing appointments, buyer's appointments, my anything is just afternoons. My closings, I literally, like, my sellers will be like, we want to do a closing at 9 a.m. I say, no, I'm not doing a closing at 9 a.m. I have an appointment. We can do it afternoon though. I'm wide open. I'm so strict with it just because I know how important it is. Because when I first started, I don't even know what I did every single day because I didn't do this. And so I just know how important it is. And so at the end of the day, I like to I have a system on how I wrap up my day, whether it's sending out emails from leads that I've met. I send out individual handwritten letters to all the leads I've met on my phone calls. I'm getting those together. And then a lot of people during your prospecting will say, give me a call later this afternoon. That's my time where I'll give them the calls. Again, where's it? Okay, right here. Call evening numbers, and then also do my sales tracking, and we'll get into that too. And then this is my time just to wrap up my day, put my numbers in the tracker. I track everything on a piece of paper on my notepad during my day, and then I transfer it all to an Excel spreadsheet as far as how many hours did I prospect, how many contacts did I get, how many leads did I get. And then I put it into my sales tracker because it's important for me to track so I can figure out what was my numbers for this month? How good was my contact ratio to my contact to leads to appointments set to appointments met? to closings and all that, y'all find that tracking in real estate is super, super important. And Tasha's in here, and I'm sure David is, and they can definitely attest to that tracking is so important, because you need to know, like, is what you're doing working. So, and then let me move this over here. Boom. And then Saturdays and Sundays are a little bit different. I go to sleep a little bit later, and I wake up a little bit later. But again, if I have a day off, if I put day off, I just go right here. I'm not going to do it because my computer's super, super slow, but I'll click right here and I'll put off all caps to where it's just like, I don't care what any of this says. It's my day off. And so, but this is the kind of routine I follow in the morning on my weekends, because the weekends I'm pretty much doing an open house every single weekend. And so I'll do again, still fit some prospecting in there. Now on the weekends, I'm a little bit more chillaxed when it comes to my prospecting. My goal every single day, I have it written on my whiteboard right here, to call 2.5 hours Monday through Friday at the very minimum, and then to at least have 17 contacts made every single day, Monday through Friday at the bare minimum. That's my goal. And the weekend, if I have time, I'll prospect. If I want to kind of take it a little bit chiller before my open house and wake up and go to the gym and, have a cup of coffee and maybe sit and watch TV for a little bit before my open house, I do that from time to time. And then, but I make sure I still go to my open house, and then I still have my afternoon open for appointments. And so if y'all don't have Google Calendar, I highly, highly recommend it. Why I have this pulled up, does anybody have any questions about it? And then I'll go back to my regular screen. Nobody? You can unmute yourself. It's open floor. Cool. So yeah, that's my calendar. I know it's a little bit overwhelming, but guys, like this is your business. Like, you got to create your daily schedule, figure out what works for you. This works for me. And Google Calendar is super professional too, because you can invite people to all your calendars. Jada, she probably got a Google Calendar invite for our Zoom call later. So where when you have sellers, you have buyers, and you see that they invited them to a Google Calendar, you're like, oh, this guy's professional. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like, he lives off his calendar. Because I literally live off my calendar. If it's not my calendar, it doesn't exist. And so I just don't know how people in real estate at least operate without a calendar. I know it's very strange if you're not in real estate or you're not your own business or have your own business, because before this, I didn't even think about using a calendar. I lived off my brain, but that's because I just went to my job every single day. And when I was off, I did whatever I wanted to do. And I didn't need a calendar, but you quite literally need a calendar in real estate, in my opinion. And so any questions about the calendar? Tasha agreed. See, anybody have any questions about the calendar at all? How to maybe like start it, how to maybe like approach it? Because I know it's a little overwhelming. Anybody have any questions other than the calendar? Nobody? There's not a single question. Anybody have any questions at all? No? Come on. I know somebody has a question, but what's up, Logan? Guys, if you have questions, unmute yourself. Just talk. Logan, you are more than welcome to unmute yourself.
Hey man, during the Monday meeting yesterday, I don't know if it's for the interns or not, but it was actually really fun to sit in. There was something I haven't actually come across yet during my studies or any of the GTU stuff, and it was about seller financing. Is that something that you're seeing a resurgence with also? And if you have, what kind of experience do you have with it?
Yeah, so I know there are seller financing's a thing. I personally haven't dealt with it before. I haven't really. I've seen it being offered before, but I personally have never dealt with it, so I don't really want to speak on it. Tasha, are you able to unmute yourself to maybe speak on it if you've dealt with the process before? I don't know if she can. If she can't answer it, Logan, message me offline. message me offline so you can I can get an answer for you. But yeah,
For sure.
I just don't want to, I don't want to speak to it just because I've never really dealt with it. That's just my.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But
it was just something I haven't run across yet. And they were talking with the, the high interest rates from inflation and everything that it's becoming. It was more popular 20 to 30 years ago.
yeah,
And it's fallen off since. And I was wondering if it is coming back through, is GGU's going to have any curriculum to kind of give you a little pop topic on it?
yeah. And I need to be yeah. So like Tasha said, it is coming back with the higher interest rates. And so it's definitely good to brush up your knowledge on it. But nothing that YouTube can't share some knowledge on.
Yeah, good
To
point.
where but Tasha, we'll work on trying to get it back into GGU, because I think it is something important to know. Which, by the way, a little bit of like a market updates. Guys, there are so many buyers and sellers out here who are buying and selling real estate, and they are looking for people like you and me to sit and be their advisor. I picked up at my open house, I picked up four solid leads, 3 buyers and 1 seller. And there are people out there who want your help. You just need to be that local expert. I know I've talked about it before and know what you're talking about. And they don't care about the interest rates. Again, market update, interest rates have gone down. They went down from a 7.25 to about 6.5, 6.615. It just depends on the person. But they have gone down. But like when you're talking to prospects, like tell them about it and just be like, provide so much valuable information. I literally got done right before this. I had a buyer's appointment, met him at an open house. When I met him at the open house, I gave him a little bit of information, but not too much, because I wanted to kind of like put the hook in and kind of put them on there and to set the appointment. Like, hey, there's more where that came from. But they literally were like, thank goodness we met you. They literally said, like, I'm so happy, like, we came to this open house to meet you because we don't know what we'd do without you. Like, that's literally what they said. I was like, geez. And they had, guess what? Their families in real estate, they have family who are realtors, and they're not going to work with their family. And so like, just go out there and just be as knowledgeable as you can. There's YouTube, literally, again, I get so much of my information from YouTube. Just be that local expert and just talk to people. And as much as those conversations add up, there's going to be people who don't want to talk to you, who have agents, but there's going to be people out there who are looking for someone like you, because everyone's finally figured out what all these iBuyers and Open Door, like, these are all just terrible people. And they want human relation, like they contact and information and value, because so many people are scared and they don't know. Everything's unknown right now, so they're looking for people like you to provide that. Oh, I think I froze. Oh, I'm back. Okay. Keeping current matters. Yeah, no, Caleb said great. There's people who are looking for advisors like yourself. So just find those people, and they're out there. They're out there every single day. So yeah. Any questions about the calendar? Does anyone want to know maybe how to set it up? Again, my schedule is definitely different from y'all's, but how to set it up as like studying for your license? Does anyone have a calendar set up? I was seeing some people in the chat said they had some. Yeah, so if you don't have a calendar set up, guys, even if you don't have your license, set one up for your studying, for your morning routine, how you're going to study throughout the day. Plan your days off to where you like have that day where you're like, okay, like I'm looking forward to this day off, to where like I'm a big believer on like plan days off, because you can just work, and you have a whole day and not do anything, and you don't feel guilty about it because you've had that day planned off. So I always say plan your days off as well. Kevin, transfer your calendar to your Google Calendar. It's a lot easier, in my opinion. Okay, so that I heard because of high interest rates, some buyers are looking to rent to own. Is that the same process as a regular mortgage? I always thought it was a low income program. Yeah, so rent to own is a little bit different. I don't advertise a rent to own process. Like it's not like we, put up a listing and say, hey, this is a rent to own. It's just a whole situation. But just a whole different situation. So typically what you can maybe closest thing to a rent to own is you have a oh, I think I froze again. Oh, there we go. The closest thing to a rent to own is you have a rental property, and whenever that landlord might say, hey, we're looking to sell this property and next year or 2 years, whenever we do sell it, you're gonna be the first person we contact if you want to buy it. But there is a rent to own process as far as like finding properties that are specific to rent to own. Again, it's just nothing I don't ever dip into. So any questions about the market, anything like that before we all let go? Maybe how to phrase something to buyers and sellers, or does anybody have any questions about what's going on that I could shed some light on?
Hey, Justin, I got a question.
Yes, Harrison, what's up?
Earlier you were talking about like podcasts that you listen to that like talk about real estate climate. What's like the best podcasts?
Oh gosh, you always put me on the spot with this. Yeah, I listen to more of YouTube videos, and then I just kind of play them in the car. As far as like market updates. Gosh, there's so many, a list of people. Brandon Morinian, he's one guy I listen to. He's more of like sales, but he's been doing a lot more like market update stuff. Ricky Carruth, he's a really good one too. He's more of like sales and how to be like a salesperson. Keeping Current Matters, that's another one that you can actually pay for that. It's an app, and I need to cancel my membership. Not because it's not good, I just don't use it. But there's that one. That's literally like really, really, really good too. It's just literally articles that are super short, but they have so much information in them that you can read really quickly. I recommend audiobooks. Again, I don't really sit down and read too much, although I need to be better about it, but I just listen to a lot of audiobooks. It's one of my favorite, we're reading it right now. Actually, it's probably one of my favorite books I've read in a really long time. Is Tom Ferry. Yeah, Tom Ferry's another one. One that this is probably one of my favorite books right now is 10X by Grant Cardone. I believe Caleb's reading it too. This is probably one of like the best books I've read in a very long time. So if y'all want like a new read or audio book, 10X, it's literally the number 1 and 0 and then an X. And then most of y'all probably know who Grant Cardone is. Grant is at EXP too. Grant Cardone is a real estate investor. The book came out a long time ago, but it is so prevalent what he talks about now in this current market. So one of my favorite books that I've read so far.
Okay,
Anybody have?
thanks.
Yeah, Harrison. Anybody have any other questions? Again, like no question is a dumb question. Please ask.
I got a question.
What's up, man?
How do you think the elections will, if they will, affect the market?
Oh gosh. That's an interesting one. I think, I don't know. It's something I've been paying attention to also, as well as consumers. It's so, I don't want to speak on it too much just because I'm not very involved with politics. I try not to be. I have my certain viewpoints, but like I also don't like look at them too much just because I probably should be better about looking into politics. I just don't care enough about politics, to be quite honest. And so yeah, honestly, I don't.
Sorry to interrupt. David,
Yes, Tasha.
I'm going to let him jump in on how the midterms are affecting the market.
Get it. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I may have to jump off if the person I'm meeting with joins my Zoom, which I'm running right now. But
No worries.
yeah, so in general, the elections impact on the market. Whenever the market faces uncertainty, in general, rates go up, right? Investors don't know what's going on. They don't know where money is going to flock to post the elections in any election cycle, whether it be midterm or presidential. You're typically going to see impacts to the stock market as well. You see impacts to the treasuries, obviously, and the treasuries then have a collateral impact onto the mortgage rates, not directly, but indirectly. And my participant just jumped on. So I will close it out with, that uncertainty just drives rates, right? And so I think it's going to take probably a month or so for us to get through this, for the race to actually be called, which it has not been yet, and for us to get a little more certainty into the marketplace before we start seeing rates settle back down to wherever they're meant to be.
Yeah, I think David said that perfectly. So like, again, I talk to buyers and sellers every single day, and most people are very uncertain, whether it's the election, whether it's just, the rates. And a lot of people are telling me like, hey, I'm uncertain what to do because of the election, which then, there's just not as many people out there, purchasing homes, and it's just, rates follow that. And it's just, everything's very uncertain right now. And a lot of people are looking for answers. And we're in a weird part of the market as far as the election, as far as coming from this crazy like market that COVID brought. It's just people are comparing this year to last year, and they're seeing these crazy numbers, like differences. So like they're seeing all these sales that happened in 2021, 2020, and they're like, well, it's dropped this year only. Well, of course it's dropped. Like, it's completely different market. It's completely different interest rates. And so people are very uncertain, and they don't know what they don't know. Everything face value looks very crazy, but when you actually start to break down the data, it makes a lot more sense. And so being able to on my buyer's appointment today, I talked about it for 20 minutes. And they were literally like so scared about the real estate market. After they talked with me, they're like, this makes perfect sense. But it's just, when you break down the data, it's not nearly as scary as it's seen. We're just seeing all these drops and these ups and downs. Nothing's very like smooth. And so it's just, everybody's uncertain right now. And so like, for example, when someone was saying how, God, it was just like this huge guy on YouTube, and, gosh, so many people listen to him, and he's just scaring people. And he was like, oh, foreclosures are up. I'm like, well, of course foreclosures are up. Last year and the year before, they weren't allowed to have foreclosures because, people were out of jobs because of COVID. And so of course they're going to be up. Like, when you compare this year to last year, like, but face value, people don't see that. People see price decreases, and they're like, I'm losing equity in my home. And I'm like, well, you don't understand that the reason there's price decreases because sellers are out of their minds right now, because a lot of them think they can still sell for 50 grand over their what their home is actually worth, because they think we're in the same market, but we're not. And so that's why we're seeing price decreases. And it's just, everything face value looks really scary right now. You just have to break it down and just learn about what's actually happening, and then just advise it. So that's our job, is to be advisors. So anybody else have any questions? Awesome. Well, y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. I don't know if we're going to do a call next week. I need to talk to Tasha, Dave, and Azar if we're going to have a call next week, because I understand it is Thanksgiving week. I know no need to. Okay. So no call next week with Thanksgiving coming up. So enjoy y'all's Thanksgiving holiday. Have fun, be safe. Enjoy y'all's first Thanksgiving out of the military, or not having to work. I have worked so many Thanksgivings. So enjoy y'all's time to actually spend time with your family, not have to balance work with Thanksgiving or requesting off or taking leave. So really do enjoy this time. This is one of my first holidays where I can actually be home for all of the holidays. So I'm excited as well. So enjoy y'all's time with y'all's family, and ultimately be safe, guys.